On this video, I'm going to talk about self-sabotage and self-sabotaging behaviours. Have you ever wondered why you sabotage yourself and thought about in what different ways you can actually self-sabotage? I'm Lucy, peak performance coach and speaker. Self-sabotage, you often hear, you think, I'm sabotaging myself by doing something. And sometimes we realize that, and other times we don't realize that there are self-sabotaging behaviors going on. And that's why you're not reaching your goals. That's why you're not doing those things. And so here are 12 self-sabotaging behaviors. And there are more, but these are the ones I feel are probably the most likely that you could be needing to look at and ask yourself, am I doing that thing? A very common one is self-limiting beliefs. So believing that you are limited in your supply, you're limited in your skills, that you're limited in your ability. And so those beliefs stop you. They sabotage you from asking yourself, can I do that? Is that something I could learn how to do? How might I be able to do that thing? And so self-limiting beliefs are going to sabotage you. So that is the very first one. The next one I'm going to look at here is feeling fundamentally that you're flawed. And that feeling of, I'm just not good enough. I'm not as good as those people out there. I'm not as good as the people around me. There's something wrong with me. Or what's wrong with me? You're asking yourself. When you ask yourself a question, your mind will spiral off and find things to answer. And they'll say, well, this is wrong with you, and that's wrong with you. And then you go, oh, let me look for more things that validate what's wrong with me. Really common one for self-sabotage. So those are the first two to look at. And then we've got the challenge skills balance. And the challenge skills balance is, are you challenging yourself too little? And you're not pushing yourself enough with the skills that you actually have? Are you being a little bit lazy? Or the other way around, are you trying to push yourself too far, too fast, and then not reaching those goals and then thinking, oh, well, I can't do it, can I? So that challenge to skills ratio, it's if you can get 4% challenged for the skills that you know that you already have, challenge those skills by about 4%, which is quite an arbitrary number, but that's what it's come down to with looking into this. It's 4%. You just challenge yourself that little bit, and then you can move on, and then you stop sabotaging yourself going, I can't do it because I've tried this thing and I actually was, the skill was too way out here. Or you've gone, I haven't got that skill, so I'm not even going to bother. Or I know I've got it, but I'm not actually using it. So the challenge skills balance is the third one. The next one is, this is something that I've come across very recently with a friend of mine, and I could see her working all hours, putting everything she'd got into everything she was doing, taking on more stuff, making sure that everybody was okay, answering emails, creating emails, responding to messages. And every time she came on screen, I could see she was getting more and more tired and she looked more and more drawn and really pale. And I knew she wasn't recovering properly. And she is a very high performer. And she really goes for it because she's very passionate about what she does. And so her recovery was abominable. And she got sick. She got sick. So she couldn't then function at the way she would normally do for like 4 or 5 days. She was having to really slow down. So make sure, especially being a high performer, because this is something that needs to be worked on. because you want to do more, you want to achieve, you want to get there faster, but you have to learn to recover. You've got to have active recovery, you need to have daily recovery, and you need to have recovery throughout your day. A whole other subject, but that's also self-sabotage. Just going for it, because then you crash, your brain's not working properly, you're not probably not nourishing yourself well, and so you're sabotaging the results that you want to get by trying to get there too fast. And that brings me on to the next one, which is impatience and dismissing the exponential gains. So the gains that slowly over time get faster and faster because you're leveling up. And if you go back to the challenge skills balance, that would be something that you're going to get exponential gains on because you're getting better, you're improving little bit by little bit. Think of it as steps on a staircase. So don't be impatient thinking, oh, I'm never going to get there, so I'm just going to give up because things seem slow. So be patient with yourself and be patient with the process. Trust the process that you're going through. So the next one is seeking safety in familiarity. So you're seeking safety, you're seeking familiarity, and if it doesn't feel safe, then the fear kicks in. If it's not familiar, then perhaps it doesn't seem safe. And so you don't go ahead and do that because it's unfamiliar territory. It's scary. It's bringing up some fears. If that's you, if you're thinking, yeah, that could be the thing that slowing me down, that's the thing that is my self-sabotage thing, right? So we do need safety, but we also need to step outside of the comfort zone because that is where our expanse will happen. Our expanse happens outside this comfort zone, and we have to push through and see actually it's safe out there and somebody's going to catch us if we fall. So having the trust that you're going to be taken care of by something, by someone, by some process, and you're going to still be alive at the end of it. The next one is a fear of standing out. I've been through this one. I have sabotaged myself by not wanting to stand up and stand out, by not wanting to be noticed, by not wanting to be heard. And then I got the feeling of no one hears me and no one sees me. Hello? I had put myself into that box. I don't want to be seen. I don't want to be heard. And then I was like, nobody hears me. Nobody sees me. It's really frustrating. I'd been sabotaging myself by putting myself right there. And so when you believe in something, when you believe in you, when you trust your process, you don't have to be hugely loud about it, but stand up and stand out and don't be afraid of that. Because again, nobody's going to smash you back down again. Most of the stuff goes on in our heads and we make things up, and that's why we don't stand up. But when you do stand up, my goodness, it feels so good. The next thing is, oh, this is a good one. The next thing is you dismiss things that you've heard before. Oh, I've heard that before. I'm not going to do that. Oh, that's not new. Gosh, I've heard that 1,000 times before. Well, maybe you've heard it many times before because it actually is a really good process. It's a good way to go. It's a good way to think. And so dismissing those and waiting for the things that are novel and new is self-sabotage. That was one that I bet surprised you. So don't dismiss things. Actually think, am I doing those things? Have I done those things? You know, maybe somebody's talking about self-care and you think, oh, I've heard all of that stuff before. But are you doing it? Are you taking your nutrition? Are you hydrating? Are you doing your exercise? Are you taking rest? Are you going for walks in nature? Are you doing all the things for self-care, journaling? Are you taking lovely long baths? Are you going for a massage? All of those things. If you're dismissing them without actually doing them, and you're feeling your energy is right down, and therefore you're self-sabotaging yourself because you haven't got the energy to do what you want to do, then take a really good look in the mirror at that one. Reasoning by analogy. Reasoning by analogy, meaning, well, if they haven't been able to do it, and they've been at this thing for at least 4 years, then there's no way that I'm going to be able to do it. It just doesn't work, does it? That would be an analogy. You've seen somebody fail in the past. I used to get this in another business that I had, and they would say, oh, well, so-and-so didn't do it. So-and-so didn't get the result. And so their analogy was that they wouldn't either. But they weren't that person. They're a completely different character, a different person, and they're going to have different traits. And so it might well have worked for them because their analogy was that it didn't work for their friend, or their friend didn't find it good, whatever. Their analogy was, it's not going to be right for me. Hello? Self-sabotage. And the next thing is the belief that if I succeed, it's going to be a burden. If I actually get successful, how am I going to manage the money? I'm going to be charged extra tax. There's going to be more people wanting my services. Then I'm not going to get any time freedom. So it's going to be a burden. So I don't actually, might be in the back of your head, this is going on and not really in your conscious mind. Then I don't want to succeed because I don't want all that hassle. It's going to be a real burden. It's going to be heavy weight on my shoulders. So if you're feeling something that's weighing you down, you could be feeling that burden of possible success. Another one is losing self-control. You're not controlling yourself with your habits. You're not controlling yourself in your business. And in fact, you might not be controlling yourself with what you say to other people. You might be losing it in a conversation and shouting at people. You might be shouting at yourself. You're just losing control, or you're losing control of where you're at. You haven't got a good focus. You're scattered all over the place. So that self-control piece can be in different areas. And then the final two, so that's 10 so far. The final two are there together. So we started out with self-limiting beliefs. Self-limiting beliefs, and the other thing from that, I believe, is unhealed past trauma. And the limiting beliefs can come from the unhealed past trauma. And the past trauma might not just be your own personal trauma within your lifespan. It can be from generations gone by, brought through the nervous system to this time. And that's why you've got the limiting beliefs. And you don't even realize that they're there, but that's sabotaging you. And you might think, well, how am I going to find out about that? It's looking at what you're doing. It's looking at how you're feeling. That is often a really, really true guide as to how you feel. So if you're tapping into your feelings and you're feeling nervous or scared, you're feeling frustrated, you're feeling disconnected, you're feeling really sad when you think about doing something, and so you go, no, I'm not going to do it. That can be from past trauma. Now, the great news is that I've actually have a certification in trauma memory release technique, and I'm a practitioner in that. And so I'm helping people to release those traumas. It doesn't stop them having the memory, but it stops them having the feelings around the memory so that they can move forward. So that's helping with your self-care. It's also helping to diminish that belief that you have limited beliefs. And the limited beliefs can be helped with the technique as well. So if you've got a limiting belief and you know it's there, don't go searching for them. But if you've got a limiting belief that you know is there, that can also just go in even just one session of 30 minutes. So it's a fantastic technique. So there are the 12, and have a look and see what you think might be yours. There will be another video coming up on screen. So I'm going to see you over there. I trust that you have found this valuable and interesting. When I looked into this, I thought it was absolutely amazing that there were so many things and so many ways that we can sabotage ourselves. It's crazy. And if you're going, am I sabotaging myself? Possibly in one of these areas. Take care. Have the most awesome day. Bye for now.